So you've only been in this job about 4 months and already something is telling you to go. Girl, I have been there. I have. We all have. You walk in all excited with your new desk plant, you put it down, and by week 4, that plant looks healthier than your work-life balance. That's a problem. Do you feel underqualified? Is the work too much for you? Is the task too insurmountable? Does it feel that way at least? When you come in on a regular basis, do you look at the paperwork on your desk and say, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing? Because that's a real feeling, and that happens. Did you fudge your resume a little bit? A tiny bit? Because people do that. They get caught in the end, it bites them in their ass, but it happens. You know, you put down things, oh yes, I can do this, I can do that, but in reality, you really can't. That happens. But then you go through, you get the job, and then you can't do the work. But you know what? There's a learning curve with everything. This job that I took, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know how to do it. I was in this field, but I had no idea how to run a program with a whole staff and students and everything and run a whole department. I had never done it before. And I know that that was God, because this is the job that was for me, because I needed to learn what I'm learning, because it's only serving me in my future, in my present now, because this was 3 years ago. I've been here 3 years, but it's serving me now. Do you feel overqualified? Is the work mundane? Is everybody in your job running around? You feel like you're the oldest person there. There's kids running around and you're like, oh my gosh, I've done all this work before and I just don't know what I'm doing here, because everybody has so much energy and I'm like, oh, this is so like boring, and you just want to get out of there. Yeah, that could happen as well. But let me tell you something about that. If you feel overqualified at your job, and you're 50 and over especially, then you shouldn't be there. I would say make your exit plan immediately. And you know what you should do? Go and teach. Go and teach what you're doing there. Because I guarantee if all of those people around there in your job, they are doing what you're doing, and they don't know how to do it yet, or they're still in the learning phase of it all, you could teach that. You can teach it on YouTube. You can go start your own course and do something like that and teach. There's a place for you, believe me. And it's not in a company where you're in a box or in a cubicle and you have a limited income. There's more for you. So for you, I would say make that exit plan. It's time to go. You know, sometimes the early phase of a job can feel confusing, but it doesn't always mean that it's time to leave. It's normal to feel off in the first few months of a job. The excitement wears off. I had a job in the dental profession I went from retail to dental. 2 different types of jobs. I went from folding clothes and cosmetics to in the mouth with plaque and decay. That's completely different, right? But I had to learn it, and I was nervous as heck. And I didn't know if I'd be able to do it because I was shaking all the time. I was nervous. I really thought it was overwhelming because it was very fast paced. It was patient after patient, and I had to work with the doctor on a regular basis. And you know what though? But after like that 4th month, I was the best assistant they had. Yeah. So it could be something like that. But before you make that break, let's figure out if the job is for you or if it's not. Because maybe it's just growing pains, maybe it's a learning curve that you have to just get through. Maybe you have to figure out, are you being undervalued? Are you working long hours like I have been, 10, 12-hour days at a time? Do you feel like you're being compensated for what you're doing? Do you feel like you need more money? Are you getting bonuses? Are you putting in those hours without someone telling you to? Because sometimes people just decide to work that many hours on their own without the owner telling them to, because they feel obligated to, or because they want to prove something to someone. The only person you have to prove something to is yourself. Those owners have already learned what they needed to learn. It's ideal for them to have people, loyal employees, who will work long hours. It only benefits them, but it's not benefiting you. Is it a toxic work environment? Is everybody backbiting, talking about one another all the time? Does everybody get along? Is it that you maybe just don't feel comfortable there? Figure that out. But if something just doesn't feel right to you, and it feels kind of off or awkward, that's worth paying attention to. Well, there are some red flags when they come up to tell you whether you should flee or you should just kind of put your head down, keep working, and not consider leaving right away. Ask yourself, when you go home at night, does this job drain you? Do you feel stuck, like there's no room to grow? Is this the end of the line at this job, or are there more levels for you to climb in the job? Is your boss giving you family vibes all the time? Family vibes like, oh, we're a family here. We want you to work 30 hours a day and be here all the time, and we're going to be driving you a little crazy, but you know what? At the end of the day, we're family. Because if that's the case, it might be time to make your exit strategy. Look, I'm all for leaving a job that's making you miserable, but you got to have an exit plan. You can't just leave all of a sudden. Not only if you want to move into the same field, because everybody knows everybody, and you never know who's going to talk to who. You never want to burn your bridges. But you got to have an exit plan. You got to have something. I'm working this job, but you know what? I had a plan in my mind that I wrote down, and I'm executing the plan. So you don't want to just leave all of a sudden and not have a plan. And if you don't want to work your plan A, maybe you have a plan B. I only have plan A after this. That's my plan. My plan A is my only plan. But at least I have a plan. Figure out what else you want to do and start working towards that before you exit. Because you know what? Walking into unemployment without a backup plan, that's not cute. That's not cute at all. You want to have a plan for you to execute. You have to have income coming in, right? I'm sure you have bills. And even if you live at home, at some point in time, you got to figure out, hey, I got to put on my big girl panties and make life work for me. There's always something that you have learned in school, even if you didn't go to college. There are things that you've done every single day that you probably take for granted, that you know how to do, that you could teach somebody else, or somebody else envies you or has in the past and say, wow, you know how to do that? That is something that you could teach other people. So at the end of all of this, I just want to tell you, trust your gut. Don't panic. There's a difference between panicking and trusting your gut. When you get that feeling inside that you want to leave, does it feel like panic? Like an actual fear of being hurt? That is panic. That's like a panic attack. That's abnormal. But if it's something where you feel hesitant or you're feeling self-doubt, that is when you need to trust your intuition at that point. That's your gut telling you, okay, you know what? I think I need to make a better choice. This might not be right for me. So don't panic. Don't jump ship right away. Figure out how you're feeling. Get a journal and start writing things down and analyze whether it's a physical feeling that you're having or whether it's a mental self-doubt, a gut intuition speaking to you and saying, this is not right. Because there is a difference. That panic attack, that will go away. Take some calming aids from the health food store and calm yourself down. And I'm not trying to make light of this because I have been in jobs in that situation, but I know the difference now as I got older. I know the difference between being panicked about something versus having self-doubt. I know if somebody is yelling at me, that's not a good situation, and they're causing me to have self-doubt. That is not a fear. It's a gut telling me, you know what, you need to get out of there because that's a toxic environment for you. And maybe that's what's happening with you. Write in the comments below, please, and give me some more details to work with, and maybe I can help you in your situation. So again, I just want to say to you, to my viewer, if you're wondering, is this for me? Just know that you have time to figure it out. You do. If you're a young person, you got plenty of time, because we're not going to think in the negative. We've got plenty of time. Even if you're older, you know what? Write some stuff down. Start thinking about what you want to do to get out of there. But I will tell you this. If that plant is the only thing that's thriving in your office, then it's time for you to start planning your next move.